Good morning. What an honor. My name is Brad McCray. I'm the music teacher at Horace Mann Elementary. We are here to honor Ann Glassey. Ann Glassey was a light in every room she entered. She led with laughter, love, and kindness. And her joy for life touched everyone around her, as is so evident in this room. Ann had a special gift for connecting with all people, and especially children. She loved hearing them sing, learn, and grow. She knew every student's name and welcomed every person to our school as though they were part of her own family. Her warmth and spirit made Horace Mann a truly special place for both students and staff and the community. Ann didn't just make work better, she made life better. She made the world a better place. Like many of you, I know that whether you knew Ann for 30 years or just one day, it never felt like enough time. But that was Ann's gift. You always left an encounter with her feeling grateful and happy for any moment you had with her, and you were better for it. As Rachel Platten so beautifully sings, your kindness is the ocean breeze. That line feels written for Ann. Her kindness moved through our days gently but powerfully, lifting spirits, calming hearts, and reminding us of what truly matters. It's a better place since you came along, and it is. Horace Mann, our students, and all of us are better because she was here, because she cared, she laughed, and she loved. Now, the Horace Mann Elementary Choir will sing A Better Place in honor of our colleague, our teacher, our friend, our family, Ann Glassey. To make this a little harder for me, one of the choir members wrote this and would like me to read it. She wasn't just the secretary. She was the smile that greeted us, the calm in the chaos, the kindness that made hard days easier. She saw us, not just our names, but who we were. And she made us feel like we mattered. The world feels quieter without her, but her love echoes in every hallway, every memory, every heart she touched. This song is for her because she made life a better place.
Hello. My name is Ann Glassey, and I'm going to speak first, and then my dad will speak, and then we'd love to open up the floor for anyone else who would like to share a memory, a story, or some words. First off, I just want to thank you all for being here. The love this community has shown for my mom and for our family during this time has been absolutely incredible. Thank you so much, not just for being here today, but for all the kind words, all the hugs, the donations people made to the GoFundMe, and the meal train that was set up at my dad and sister's house. I also want to take a minute and thank the entire staff at Evergreen Hospital. Our whole family was so touched by the level of care and kindness shown to my mom, from the nurses and doctors in the ICU when she had her first stroke, to the physical and occupational therapists, to the amazing staff at the hospice facility. We are lucky to have such a great hospital in our backyard. I want to take a few minutes to tell you about my mom. She was born and raised as Ann Tuschmidt in Phoenix, Arizona. All three of her siblings are here with us today. Her brother Chuck, and her two sisters, Joan and Janie. She went to Central High School, class of 1974, where she was voted most humorous in her senior yearbook. She then attended University of Arizona, where she studied art and was a member of the Pi Beta Phi sorority house. She was always proud of the fact that she could still light a match and recite the Greek alphabet before the flame burned her fingers. She married my dad, Bill, in 1980, and they lived in Denver, Colorado. 2 years later, they had me, and 2 years after that, my sister Megan was born. In 1987, we moved to a farm in Stonington, Connecticut, and in 1990, we packed everything into a U-Haul and drove across the country to Seattle, settling in Redmond a few months later. My mom was affectionately known as Biffy, a play on BFF, Best Friends Forever, to me, Megan, and my wife Cheryl. She was always involved growing up. When she wasn't taking me and Megan to school, sports practices, or instrument practices, she was a Cub Scout den mother, a Girl Scout cookie mom, an Odyssey of the Mind coach, and the player agent for Redmond North Little League. She loved being Yaya to her grandchildren, Cormac and Tierney. But her love and care extended far beyond her own children and grandchildren. My mom touched so many lives in the Redmond community by working at Horace Mann Elementary for 35 years. She was a crossing guard, a recess teacher, and an instructional assistant. But most of her time there was spent as the registrar in the office. She was the first face children and families saw when they entered the building, and was such a positive light. She knew everyone's name, not just the students, but their families. She had an exceptional memory and an uncanny ability to make connections. She made everyone feel welcome and filled the building with joy and laughter. She loved listening to Jackson Brown, James Taylor, Neil Diamond, and Elton John. She loved card games, word puzzles, computer games, and doing crafts. She loved watching baseball, tennis, the Olympics, and Judge Judy. She loved wearing fun glasses and good perfume. And later this afternoon, if you would like to go decorate your own pair of glasses, we have some crafting tables over there for you. She loved taking her grandchildren to Disneyland, especially to the Tiki Room. She didn't always love cooking, but she was really good at it. Growing up, one of my favorite meals she made was called Bija Swati. I thought it was some fancy, exotic dish. It wasn't until just a few years ago that I learned, nope, it was just a word she made up. It's basically taco salad. But if you want the recipe, we had it and several other family favorites printed on the memorial cards in the hallway. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I've been overwhelmed at the outpouring of love that people have shown through cards, text messages, and on social media. One common theme has been the appreciation of kindness that my mom showed in her job. I especially love seeing how many people mention something to the effect of, "Your mom was so kind to us when we were new to this country." But that shouldn't come as a surprise. My mom's kindness and empathy was unwavering. She always had an open door. She always put others above herself. It didn't matter what you looked like, where you were from, or what you believed, she saw the good in all people. In high school, I didn't get away with anything. I have friends here who can attest to the fact that we were all grounded several times because my mom was the one to catch us doing something we shouldn't have been doing. Probably because she had been there and done that herself. But at the same time, she was also the coolest. She took me to my first concert, let me skip school in 3rd grade because Mariners second baseman Harold Reynolds was having an autograph signing at Denny's on a Wednesday, and rented funny movies for me when I stayed home sick from school. The hardest I ever saw her laugh was when she was trying to teach me how to drive a stick in a church parking lot, and the truck was jerking back and forth, stuck between gears. She had such a great laugh, and I still can't drive a stick. When I was 19, my mom took our whole family to Seattle to all get our first tattoos together. My dad, my sister, and I have gotten a lot more since then, but she always just had the one, a dragonfly on her ankle. And there are baskets of temporary dragonfly tattoos in the hallway as well, so make sure to grab one on your way out. She opened her home for my friends and I to have loud, annoying band practices in high school, let me host a couple concerts in our basement, and even let touring bands sleep on our couches. She welcomed foreign exchange students and people in the community who needed a place to stay. That giving spirit lived on, even after she did. My mom was an organ donor, and we were informed after she passed that her eyes were donated to 2 people in need. The world could use more people like my mom. I love you, Mom.
It's loud. First, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. This crowd exemplifies who Ann was and what she has meant to our community. Our children, Connor and Megan, are completely responsible for hosting this event, planning and implementation. They are to be commended, and may they forever know how much they are loved and how proud their mother and I are of them. I wrote a poem to Ann a couple of years ago as an anniversary present, and I'd like to share it with you today. Who could have possibly imagined nearly 50 years ago, when we were both young and beautiful, Arizona to Colorado to Connecticut to here, our lives are wonderfully intertwined. Who could have possibly imagined our 2 beautiful children, neonatal ICNs through CWU and beyond, two perfect grandchildren, Cormac and Tierney. We became Papa and Yaya and are completely blessed. Who could have possibly imagined the gray hair and baldness, hearing aids and dentures, oh my, wrinkles, stiff joints, who cares? Still in love with you, baby. Who could have possibly imagined? I'm reminded of a fine painting. Each incident and kindness represents a brushstroke. So many brushstrokes. It's a lovely painting, my dear. Still in love with you, Ann. Who could have possibly imagined? So many times we met for coffee, buku lunches on the run, so many beautiful sunsets to share, thousands of suppers, some Spartan, some splendid. Again, I need to thank everyone for being here, for Ann and for our family. It's made a huge difference. It's been difficult for all of us, but you all have made it easier and better. I still feel her presence every day. I want to especially thank everyone for the lovely meals and support during her illness. She was dutifully sending out thank you cards until she no longer could. That was Ann to a T. Ours wasn't a storybook marriage. I'm not sure even such a thing even exists. But it just worked. We always loved, respected, and supported each other. An old friend once asked us, how exactly did a sorority chick ever end up with an old hippie? The question alone has always tickled me. It's a fair question, and I'd like to answer it now. We just clicked. We thoroughly enjoyed each other's company, balanced each other out, and we've made each other laugh all these years. That's how. She was the sanest person I have ever met. Simply put, and most of you already know this, Ann was a saint. A saint. She cared for everyone. Everyone mattered to her. She took the time to get to know everyone and remembered nearly everything. She amazed me often and was a truly remarkable woman. I am eternally grateful for our relationship and for our time together. Ann and I have always believed in the power and potential of our children and of the greater power and potential of public education. It's ironic, actually, that we ended up at Horace Mann, but it was likely no coincidence. Thanks again, everyone. Thanks especially for loving Ann. We are all truly lucky to have known her, for she made the world a better place. And know that we all love you. That wants to speak or tell a story or something. I'm going to turn the mic off, and it's quite loud, as you probably already know.
Can you hear me? There we go. Hi, I used to work at Horace Mann Elementary School. I was the lunchroom cashier for about 13 years and loved my job, but Ann was my savior. Oh, I go to her and go, what do you know about this family? Do they need free or reduced lunches? And you know what? She'd know if I needed to contact them for that. She was just a wealth of information, and she knew everybody in the school, and she knew what circumstances they were from. But one time I didn't ask Ann if I should call family. I just called them. And the father came to the office. He was not happy at all. He began yelling at me. Ann went under the desk, and Sue Nauman ran for the principal's office. And yes, the police were called. But it all worked out. Ann worked with the police, Sue, Megan, and we got it so we could work with the family and not be frightened. But without her help, I don't know how I would have ever gotten through.
Up, and then I think it takes a second.
Hello, hello. Oh, there we go. Not strong enough to turn on the mic, but that's okay. I wanted to come up and say something. My name is Aaron. I was a student at Horace Mann in the early 90s, and Miss Glassey had my back. I was late to school probably, I don't know, 99.9% of the time. I had a 10-minute walk, couldn't make it, ever. In fact, if you know where Horace Mann, the crosswalk, you had to, from my angle, you had to come up right in front of the school, and then there was about a 100-yard walk to the left. It's like, maybe if I didn't have to go left, I would have made it, but she was always there waiting for me. Last one, she was a crosswalk guard, and she had her flag, and she would always have my back and walk me into the office and kind of lecture me, but kind of support me, and it was great. And through the years, just Miss Glassey was always there. She loved everybody the same. She looked after everybody. My sister and I were both at Horace Mann all the way through, and then I went off, we moved away, and I moved off to California, and I had my own kids and came back and bought my childhood home from my parents. And same front door, same noise, same everything. The trees were 80 feet tall instead of 20. And I registered my son for kindergarten, and Miss Glassey, I don't call her Ann, so you're just gonna have to forgive me on that. Miss Glassey emailed and said, is this by any chance Aaron or Layla's kid? And I'm like, that cannot be Miss Glassey. And it was her, and I went in immediately and saw her, and my kids, and then later Sarah went through, and my kids' experience at Horace Mann was almost identical to mine 30 years previous. It just, very welcoming school, but that's not the school. It's the people at the school. And there's it's a very, very special place that she had a hand in making, but I think through the years she was one of the ones that, I mean, Miss Glassey and Miss Ortloff was my sister's 4th grade teacher, and so when I showed up and saw Glassey and Ortloff, I was like, okay, kids are in a good place. And there you are. You remember Layla? Still the same. I still have a scar right here. So I just say it because it's a really special part of my life and my kids' life, and we've made a lot of friends again since we've been back, and it's just
it's so serendipitous that she's who she was and who, I mean, I look at all these photos, it's who she is and it's real and we're all touched by her in so many ways, and as far as I'm concerned, she'll always be here because she's a part of all of us. So I just felt like I needed to say something, but God bless Ms. Glassey and all of you guys.
Hi, I'm Sue Norman. I've never spoken to a crowd this large in my entire life, but I need to honor the best friend I ever had. I remember Ann coming into school and registering Connor and Megan to school. I was the only secretary of the building, and a couple of days later she came in and she goes, "Can I help you? You sound like you're a little frustrated." And then I said, "I don't have a crossing guard out on 104th. And I said, "The person's supposed to be there is called upset." Well, she said, "Let me help you." She says, "What do I do?" So I gave her a vest, and I gave her the flag. And her and the students went out there, and she became a recess IA, crossing guard, worked in the classroom, did safety net. That was again beginning of my relationship with Ann. I usually started in the office on August 15th every year with my principal, and I walked in August, and Mary Nelson was the principal at that time, and she said, "We have a little bit of a problem." She said, "Linda Reed has moved to Glassey, and we don't have a secretary." And she said, "Do you have any ideas of who might be interested?" I said, "Can I call Ann Glassey?" She said, "Of course." And so that was the beginning of our 30 years together. And she is an amazing, amazing lady to work with. We became the best of friends. We were together more than 200 and some days a year, from 7:50 in the morning to 4:30 at night. We planned many socials, volunteer teas, and we just had such the same work ethic, took care of each other, took care of the kids in the health room, all by ourselves. We didn't have a secretary, health room secretary. It was all us and our principal. Last 15 years, Megan Spalding was our principal. We worked so closely, 3 of us as a team. And it was one of the most amazing times of our lives. We had the best staff. We were so close. IAs, parents, students that we just adored. And I am going to miss her. She was my friend. We went through personal things together, the death of our parents, graduations of our kids, went to each other's kids' weddings. She was just a part of my life. And even after I retired, we met, had lunch, celebrated our birthdays together. I will never forget her. She's gone way too soon. I miss her. She was a joy to my life. She was like a sister. All of you were very lucky to have a school like yours meant for your children to go to.
Sue and I blessed to have Ann in our life and to have her, for 15 years as a principalship. And I'm going to just tell you, we all know who ran that school. we did. She was amazing. And I wrote some things down, and I've decided I'm going to share a memory instead, because so many of the things have been echoed already. We all saw the same things in Ann, because she was a true person. And one memory that I have, in 2002, I was back in Albania adopting a daughter. And I got to know some people in Albania. Fast forward 22 years later, Ann comes running back to my office saying, I just met somebody you know from Albania. Because that's what she did. She connected people. And you know how she found out? She asked this father who would come in, Sandy, good to see you. She asked Sandy, I don't know how to say your name, because saying names was so important to her, right? She wanted to say your name correctly, and when he said, well, it's Albanian, and this is how you pronounce it, she said, Albania, and she made the connection. She did that because she loved people. She shared her life with us, and she always wanted to know what our lives were, and that's what made her so special at Horace Mann. She lived her life with laughter and warmth and kindness. She welcomed everyone. She connected people. She did it with a joke. She did it with a thoughtful gesture. And you know what? She always did it in a genuine way. And our heart is broken because her passing was too soon. And I've heard it said that we're all walking home with each other. And I'm grateful, and I know we all are grateful, that on that walk, Ann was beside us. She'll be missed deeply and always remembered with love.
My name is Lila, and I want to say that without Miss Glassey, this school will never feel the same. It's never going to feel the same. Her whole life spread so widely over all of us. And that's why you can see all these people in this room coming here just for her. She was an amazing person. We all love her, and I miss her. We love you, Miss Glassey.
Hello. All right, I'm representing the Norman Rockwell corner over here. While I didn't get a daily dose of Ann's sunshine like those of you lucky enough to be greeted at the door of Horace Mann every morning, I was fortunate enough to feel the warmth that she radiated peppered throughout my life. I went to school with Connor and Meg, played softball with Meg, and when Connor married one of my best friends, Cheryl, it cemented my blessing of occasionally seeing Ann at a barbecue or a get-together at their home. One thing everyone in this room felt was her beautiful, bright energy. When I woke up and saw the sun today, I thought, thank you, Ann, for showing us the power of your sunny disposition in a bleak few weeks of your absence. It feels really appropriate. I wanted to take a minute to share the main thing I noticed from afar, which was her resilience. We live in a society of instant gratification or change when things get hard. Ann was the polar opposite. She has been the true definition of steadfast loyalty and resilience in everything in her life. Family, marriage, and her job. Knowing what it takes to be a mom, me now being a part of today's school system as a teacher, and the 2 marriages that I've been a part of, those things are difficult, and none are perfect for anyone. She showed us all what it looks like to be loyal and committed, and to give everything you've got to something that isn't perfect. She did that with all of us, too, especially when we weren't perfect. And while she wasn't specifically religious, she exemplified all of the teachings of Jesus and lived her life in service more than any person that has ever stepped into a church. She's unselfishly gave her time and energy to everyone around her. She made you feel seen. She was an amazing mom and grandmother to her own children, but what would always impress me the most is that she played mom and grandmother to all of us and our children like they were her own. Connor and Meg, I'm truly sorry you had to share your mom with all of us. But I truly believe that her heart was built big enough to give a piece of it to each of us. Well, at least she made us feel that way. I know that this is a big loss for all of us in the Redmond community, but I do believe the best of her is in both of you and your children. That even those little bits of time where she was our biggest cheerleader, our advocate, or the best hugger in the world, to each of us, that each time we saw her, that her essence will be a breath of fresh air, just as this sunny day is on all of us during the periods of rain I've experienced. Thank you guys for sharing her.
Hi, my name is Tina Haber. Forgive me, I have no notes. I'm just gonna go at it. I worked with Principal Megan Spalding, Sue Nallman, and Ann Glassey between the years of 2018, 2020, till a family matter. Then I had to quit. Horsemen is a family. My kids went through it. I got so addicted I had to go back and volunteer. And after volunteering for a while, Ann called me back and said, they're hiring a health room person. So I was there as a health room person for a bit. I was working in the office with them. There's one thing I really want to share about Ann. All the kids that come in, sitting on that little corner chair during suspension, she calls them over. When the room is quiet, she calls them over and she talks to them. And she showed them that they're loved and that it's okay. And the most important thing is that they learned a lesson that they said, when she just sent it back to the chair. I think that is the greatest thing about Ann that I've seen. She is our database. She is our therapist. Constantly seeing a lot of people stepping on her desk. And then she would complain about how her desk is really messy. I'm like, well, that's not your fault. Everyone just dumped stuff on it. So, I'm gonna miss her tremendously, but I've learned so much from this lady. And I just want to thank the family for sharing them. I'll see you at school. I'm a volunteer there now.
Oh, this is a lot harder than I thought it would be to do, but really love the Glassey family, especially Ann and Megan and all of them. We've been their neighbors for almost 8 years now, and so we just felt so welcomed by Ann and her husband. We just felt their love, and for us when we first moved there, and then I really got to know Ann well and more personally than my kids, who I had homeschooled for many years, moved to public school. And she just made that transition so much easier. And I remember, like, times I would forget lunch, I forget to bring my kids lunch, and I would bring it to the desk, and she would right away make sure they knew and they would get their lunch, and it didn't make me feel bad about forgetting or other times that I forgot. And I'm just so grateful for their kindness. They're such a wonderful, loving family, and we're just so grateful for them. And I will miss Ann, because it was just part of that tradition, seeing the vehicle pull into the driveway, see people come, it's just part of every day in life. But just extend my love, and I'm always there, and glad that we have such wonderful neighbors. And
my name is Laura Nelson. I was a student at Horseman. I graduated high school before. You can do the math for when I was there. I wore this jacket today because when I think of Mrs. Glassey, as you know, it's not Ann, it's Mrs. Glassey, I would think of her on the playground in the old building, up on the wall ball area, concrete, right next to the covered area. That was her spot. That was her castle on the hill, to oversee all that was happening and to blow that whistle when needed. I somewhat knew Ann outside of school because my sister and her daughter Megan were the same grade, and I think the same soccer team and just other things. And my mom Sharon Nelson knows half of Redmond as well. So outside of school, I knew she was Ann. And so being the smart aleck I thought I was, I would love to run up to her in the playground and say, "Hi, Ann," and she'd just look at me and go, "At school, I'm Mrs. Glassey." I'm like, "But I know you're Ann." And she would never berate me, but she'd always look at me like she had other words she wanted to say to me, but she was professional. And so when I think of Ann or Mrs. Glassey, it's just a smile. It's just the embodiment of a smile and joy and exuding that joy around her. To be happy is one thing, but to be able to exude the joy that other people can absorb is a very, very special thing. And there's nothing else I can think of about her other than happy, joyful, and wonderful. We are shedding tears here today, but while there is a mourning to the fact that we will not get one of her amazing hugs again, I find that most of my tears today have been because of the gratitude I feel that I got to have her in my life at all. The more stories I'm hearing, the more grateful I am, because while we all knew what a treasure she was, it's just being compounded today. And yeah, I just have gratitude. Her and her hugs are great. And then, I wore this jacket today because she's a playground teacher, and when I was there in the early 90s, every single day it was a bright pink neon windbreaker, and then a large bead or stone clunky necklace. And you could always find her. Like, she had a vest, but you could always find her with that awesome jacket. And I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I have a Mrs. Glassey jacket. I gotta wear it. Just as a small anecdote, on the playground, like I said, I run up and I'm annoying, but I ran up to her thinking, again, I could pull one over on a grown-up. I'm so smart, right? I know everything. And so I ran up to Miss Glassey and I was like, Miss Glassey, do you know how to spell supercalifragilisticexpialidocious? And she looked me dead in the eye, paused, and spit out a lot of letters that seemed to fit. And as like a maybe second grader, I was going, K. I have no idea if she spelled it right. She spelled it well enough that I was dumbfounded that this woman knew everything. You know, she was amazing. Any question you asked, she had the answer. And put me in my place a little bit. As a parent now, my kids are in school, three in elementary school, and they've gone to a couple schools. And as a parent who can't seem to get there on time, I have met several secretaries, and there is a certain level of, you know, kindness and empathy and niceness that you have to work in a children environment. However, being the parent that's always tardy, there's less of that. However, all my secretaries have been very nice, but there is a gold standard that I compare them all to, and that is Ann Glassey. And the 2 or 3 secretaries I interact with, perfectly pleasant women, they're not Ann Glassey. And she will always be the gold standard of any office, any school that I walk into from here on out. And I don't think she'll ever be met or surpassed for sure. I'm gonna leave this on because we don't do the button.
Just when I think I can't cry, it just kind of creeps up on you. I'm going to kind of wrap this up just a little bit today, but I do want to share and ask a question. Can you guys raise your hand if you have a story of meeting Ann in the wild? At a grocery store, at, you know, the parking lot, anywhere. I feel like everywhere I go, somebody's like, oh, I just saw your mom at the grocery store, or I just saw your mother-in-law here. It's one thing I'm going to miss is hearing stories of people running into her. So if you see someone you know, go say hi and make you think of Ann, because she knew everyone. We always joked we always went out to eat in like Woodinville or Bothell because she didn't know anybody. So maybe not as many people as I thought. I just feel very touched. I feel very lucky to be part of the Glassey family, and hearing you guys talk about Mrs. Glassey, it was a little wild for me because I miss Mrs. Glassey every day of my life, but if I am just an ounce of the Mrs. Glassey that she was, then I think I'll be all right. So I'm going to stop there. I just want to let everybody know that there is plenty of food in the hallway. We also, there are memory cards we would love for you to share. Our plan is to bind that into a book for the Horseman Library, and we would like to keep some for ourselves as well. So if you have a Horseman story or just an Ann Glassey story, we would love for you to share any of those. There are tables in the back for kids to do crafts, and we would love for you to use these tables that we brought in, and we're very happy. So thank you all for coming today. I hope you stay. We have plenty of time left in the gym, and we hope you guys continue to share stories of our favorite lady that we miss an awful lot. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I'm Suzanne Mender, and I'm a former parent of Horseman, and I had the honor or privilege to send my 3 kids all the way through with the dream team, Megan, Sue, and Ann. And at the end of every school year, I would write a thank you note to Ann, and I think that I'm going to send her a thank you note right now because I don't know where else to send it. And I think she's here, and I think she hears us. I believe that. And when you move, as many parents have men move from out of state, you don't have family, and you don't have a lot of constants, and you grow and hopefully find your people. And Ann was definitely one of my constants. You see the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful when you send 3 kids through we all know we don't know what we're doing as parents, and she would help reassure. And I want to share two stories that show that her legacy will live on. And one of them involves her son Connor, who I've never met, but she would say that my son reminded her of him, and she would tell me amazing stories that were inspiring, and what a beautiful life Connor got to live. I heard some great stories, and only Ann could raise a child who lived on to do some legacies with the gnome. That was an amazing story if anybody's heard it. And then the other story, at one time, Megan and I we didn't know each other, and we were volunteering, and I was just chatting, as I tend to do. And I was like, this person is great. Who is this person? I don't know if you remember, but we just started talking, and I was like, wow. And of course it was Ann Glassey's daughter, right? And I was like, the legacy lives on. And I thank you for being the grandma, the mom I needed, the grace, the beauty, the wisdom, and your legacy lives forever.
Hello, my name is Richard Mancino, and I had 3 kids come through Horace Mann. They're out now, but I got to interact with Ann a lot because I was in and out of school a lot, and she was always a very pleasant person to talk to. I don't need to tell all of you that, but pretty early on I started volunteering with Horace Mann. I mostly volunteered in the art department. I was an art docent. And for those of you who don't know, an art docent is a parent who will come in and prepare a art lesson to do with the kids, to teach them in the art room. And I was there one day getting ready for an art class. It was going to start in like 10 minutes. And I'm looking for these art supplies that I had prepared the night before, and I couldn't find them. They weren't where I left them. And I immediately started to panic. Because for those of you who have taught small children, which I'm sure there are a lot of you, you don't show up to these things unprepared, okay? Chaos will reign quickly. It'll turn into Lord of the Flies in that classroom pretty fast. So I'm panicking, and I go to talk to Ann Glassey, because who else would you talk to in that situation? And I said, hey, was anyone in the art room? I left some supplies here, and I can't find them, and I mean, the class is going to be showing up in like 10 minutes. And I watched this sweet, kind, soft-spoken, front desk person turn into Tommy Lee Jones from The Fugitive immediately. Like, she was rounding up every able-bodied man, woman, and child in the school to find those art supplies and find. Now, I think I saw the principal was looking for like stacks of construction paper and googly eyes and pipe cleaner, and she found those art supplies with time to spare. Those things were found and spread out, and I was ready for the class. And on that day, I realized you don't mess with Ann Glassey. You stay on Ann Glassey's good side. I'm going through conversations I've had with her in the past, making sure I didn't say anything out of context. I want to make sure this woman likes me. But needless to say, she was very, she was just a good person to deal with. I mean, it's easy for someone in that position to be a jerk, because it's probably easier for them to be a jerk because people won't come to you all the time for stuff. But she was always had time, was always helpful, and I just can't imagine dealing with anyone else in that position. So it was nice that I got to know her as much as I did over the last 15 years or so.